this time, but
you had a busy weekend.
it was very, very busy. And it especially didn't help that I was a little bit too courteous this morning and ended up using the restroom last. After you showered and pooped, and then everybody else pooped.
I didn't use the bathroom. I just showered. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I had a meeting to get to.
After you left, I didn't get out of your apartment until like 10.
Lord.
And I was only in the bathroom for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So
I'm glad you could come over.
Yeah, it was a good time. Good time.
I had fun.
I was a little bit desperate there right before the end, but it all worked out.
I even using my bathroom, or just the weekend in general.
The bathroom. I wasn't expecting it to be an hour between when I said I needed to use the restroom and when I actually got to use the restroom.
That just makes you savor it all the more, right, Sam?
No, it was too close for comfort.
Also, I didn't realize we were listening to Green Day again this week. You should probably phone up on.
Yeah. Sorry. I was so focused on going live, I didn't change that. I changed everything else.
Okay. That's good.
I'll update that in a second. Why does it never save the tags? I hate that.
I guess I just assumed you want new tags every time.
No, but it doesn't save the tags on or it always saves the tags on my other account. I don't know what's different between this account and the other one.
I don't know. Maybe it's like something in the settings.
Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Although I don't think there's much that applies to it other than the music tag. Because there's nothing really else that can go in there. Educational, I'm going to click that.
Educational? Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
Why did it not? I clicked classical music. Add classical music. Jesus. Okay. All right, there we go. Updated. My bad.
No problemo.
I
figure someone's coming in for Green Day. They might be in for
a bit of a surprise.
A bit of a surprise. A little bit of culture. It couldn't hurt.
Yeah. Your voice is sounding a little scratchy there.
I'm a little hoarse.
But you're a person.
I know. I might have been talking too loud at the bars last night.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty loud at Harry's.
It was a good time, though.
Yeah. Oh, come on. That sounds good.
Thank you. I think I'll just do that all stream.
My phone's just blowing up. I'm so popular.
Popular?
No, it's forcing me to verify my group.
No, that's less fun.
All right, let's get this sent out. So you had a fun day, have a fun meeting that you had to go to this morning?
I mean, we had a meeting. I wouldn't say it's fun. We worked a lot. And yeah, that was about it. And then this stream I'll have to get off pretty much immediately because I got more work to do.
Well, you didn't really get anything done over the weekend.
Yeah, I was a bit backlogged, but I got almost everything I wanted to do done today. Which is good. And then you got to see your parents, which is good as well. And your dog.
Mm-hmm.
How's Gracie doing?
She is doing very good. She was not super happy because we had to leave her in her crate when we went out to lunch, and she doesn't actually ever really stay in her crate anymore now. Whenever my parents leave the house, they just kind of say, "All right, see ya," and shut the door and leave her to run around because there's nothing she can get into, and she behaves. So the fact that she had to stay inside the crate was upsetting to her quite a bit. But she was good. She's always a little antsy when she comes here because, I mean, I've only lived here for a week, so it doesn't really smell too much like me yet to her. So she's always she's like, "Am I living here now?" Every time she comes. She's not 100% certain.
Man, I just tell her that she isn't.
Yeah, well, we do, and she'll calm down, but then when she gets there and when she leaves, she's antsy. Because anytime my parents leave anywhere, she's always worried about getting left wherever she is.
Oh.
Although sometimes, like over the previous summer, I can't remember. I think it was for the family retreat or whatever. My grandma looks after her up at her house, so I went with my mom halfway to drop her off, and we get there, and she's super excited to see grandma. She loves grandma, and then my mom takes her to use the restroom, and then she, we say bye to her, and she hops in grandma's car without even looking at us, and is like really excited to go to grandma's house, and just drives away with no problem. So
Aww.
Sometimes she hates to leave, and sometimes she's like, yeah, I'm sick of these people. I want to hang out with grandma for a while. So
she likes hanging out with grandma.
Yeah.
That's cute. Oh, hey, looks like we got a new emote in the chat.
Yeah,
always appreciated. Perk 523. Please keep them coming.
I like Pratik's emote better.
No, not enough mustache, I think. Oh man, you look like that villain from the Ninja Turtles. This square face.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Ah, darn.
I never watched Ninja Turtles when I was a kid.
They were too teenage and mutant.
Yeah. I don't even remember what I watched when I was a kid. I think I watched Blue's Clues. That's too young. What did I watch after that? SpongeBob.
Dora.
No, Dora was my sister.
Your sister's Dora the Explorer?
My sister would watch Dora.
Oh.
Smart ass. Yeah, I really only remember SpongeBob and Dexter's Lab and My Life as a Teenage Robot. That was a good one.
Oh, that was a good one.
Oh, I have no idea who that is. Never seen that guy before. Huh, okay. Oh, sorry, I'm yawning. It's been go ever since I woke up this morning, so.
Yeah. Well, at least you got a good night's sleep on my couch, so.
Yeah, my back's a little sore from that. Especially since the cushions aren't secured in anymore, so it'll just, they just kind of slide out when I turn over.
So you're just laying on mattress springs.
Yeah, sometimes. I'm looking forward to sleeping in my own bed. I will say, I'm glad I didn't plan on taking a shower at your place this morning. That would have slowed down the process 100 times more.
Yeah, but no problem for me. I just left. So. Yeah. Oh man. So you ready to jump into this week's album?
Sure. Yeah, sorry, man. It's all catching up with me all of a sudden now. All right. Well, let's get right into it then. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Audio Shop Podcast. This week we are talking about The Planets by Gustav Holst. Quite the change of pace than last week and what we normally do.
I would say it's quite the change of pace, significantly.
Yeah, significant change of pace. But this is some people are probably going to yell at me for this isn't classical music. Classical music has a different definition. So let's see what the technical definition of classical music is.
Oh, we're going to get to the minutia.
Yeah, we are. Because it's probably like before a certain year. More specifically, music written in European tradition during a period lasting approximately from 1750 to 1830. So this technically is not classical music since it's not written in that time period. Oh, shut the fuck. I don't care. It's classical music. So a bit of background on Gustav is he was an English composer born in 1874. And he actually began composing the planets in 1913. So not as far back as I thought they were written. But I mean, still over 100 years ago, that's odd.
It's over 100, yeah.
Yeah. He finished in 1916. He wrote them in a slightly different order than what they appear in the current suite today, with Mars still being first, followed by Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Mercury. And arguably, he's most well known for the planets, although he has a huge catalog, as every famous composer does. And this specific version that we listen to, I assume you listen to this one as well, Cooper, is the Los Angeles Philharmonic, conducted by Zubin Mehta in 1997. And
1997.
Yeah, personally, my favorite rendition of the planets, mainly because it's the one I've listened to the most and first. So it's like, I prefer this version because all the other versions don't do what this first version I listened to does. But
what, combine it with Star Wars?
Star Wars and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah, I usually don't listen to the rest of the album, but yeah,
the first half of the album is the planets, and the second half is John Williams music, along with Richard Strauss. So the other half is also Zarathustra.
Yeah,
and,
there's like 10 of those songs on there.
And Star Wars music from John Williams.
And Close Encounters music.
Okay, one Close Encounters.
Yeah, I think there's 2. But it's a long album, and we are only looking at the planets section.
The first half.
Yeah, not John Williams music. But yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, Cooper, but I've got a bit of more, I wouldn't say classical background. I was in band throughout basically the only time I wasn't in band was college. And that's because there was a lot more time sink in college, and people were a lot more serious, and I wasn't as serious. But I had exposure to all that kind of stuff. I played tuba, so I was lead tuba for a while, and then I wasn't because there was another guy that actually wanted to major in tuba. So I'm like, all right, I'm fine not being first chair. I am doing engineering, not this. So I would routinely take naps in band class, but I was a diligent student and never practiced outside of school. So
wow, okay, that doesn't sound diligent. But
okay, when I'm doing 95% of my time is taken up by marching band, I'm not going to play additional tuba music outside of that. So,
and that's why you didn't major in it.
Yep. But I miss it. I certainly would like to be in a band again, but I don't think I'm good enough for the. There's not exactly any casual orchestral bands.
Just marching around.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
what about you, Cooper? Do you have any background with classical?
Not particularly. I was in band, but I played trumpet. I wasn't in marching band either. So mostly it was there's more modern music, nothing super classical. So, and I don't listen to much classical either. It's one of my weak points.
I try and listen to quite a bit. My go-to focus music is organ concertos. So,
I guess they don't make new classical music anymore since they stopped making it in 1830.
Yeah.
So, not exactly a new release every week.
Yeah, exactly. But this is, we can launch into the first one. You feeling that?
Yeah, let's get it going.
Get right into it. So track number 1, make sure I click the right button here, is Mars, the Bringer of War.
Mars, the Bringer of War. And I guess we should preface this with, it's called The Planets, and there are 7 songs, and each one's named after a planet.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they're like Greek, Roman god affiliate. So Mars, or Ares, is the god of war.
Yeah, these are the Roman names for the planets.
The Roman names.
The traditional current day names
of the planet. So Mars is the bringer of war, just like his Roman god counterpart.
Mm-hmm.
And each song kind of follows the theme of encapsulating what this the theme is in terms of the god. So Mars, bringer of war, is, as you expect, very warlike, or at least as warlike as you can get back in an orchestra.
Well, I mean, it's like a war march kind of thing. There's always been war music, you know.
Yeah, this is very marchy, and marchy, but also explosive, I would say. And I remember reading that the actually, which is I guess part of why John Williams is on this album is the Imperial March from dun 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 was inspired directly by the song.
Yeah, it's interesting since he drew so much inspiration for all the songs from previous works.
Yes, there are several moments on this album where I'm like, this sounds a lot like Star Wars.
Yeah, but Star Wars came after.
Are you sure? 1913. When did Star Wars come out? When were movies invented?
Movies were invented in actually in 1920 by Harvey J. Movie. When he decided that he didn't want to use flip books and talk over them anymore.
Man, that man's an inspiration.
Yeah.
But this song, like I said, it's got a march quality, and all these songs are rather lengthy. They're orchestral pieces.
It's orchestral pieces.
So it definitely has room to breathe. So there's a long build-up before at about the minute 30 mark, it kind of explodes out. And this a bit of a cacophony, where it really starts to live up to the war name as these like strings and brass go for rising tension.
Yeah, it's also arguably the most well-known of the Planet Suites, and it's featured in some more recent pop culture. I noticed that you sent me a little link.
We can watch that later. I'm just thinking about it.
This is featured in Adult Swim Venture Bros, which was actually the first time I heard Mars, was that segment. Or at least remember hearing it. I'm sure I've heard it before that. But it's surprisingly well known for classical music.
Yeah, it's actually really permeated the... chances are if you're listening to this and you're at least, slightly... familiar or have lived in the West for a while, you've definitely ran into this in some sort of pop culture capacity, even if you don't notice it. Mm-hmm. It's a very classical hype song, you might say, getting ready for battle song. And I gotta say, it achieves the purpose. I feel like I want to go to war.
I used to listen to this song as I went to my tests in college to pump myself up. Yeah, I'm gonna kill that test. I'm going to war. Destroy that test.
Smash that like button.
But as this is just the first one, I thought I'd go over some of the, just classical kind of details of music. So classical music has a much, I don't know if I'm sure you noticed, Cooper, the much greater volume range.
Yes.
Opposed to songs of the past 40 or so years.
Especially on this album.
Yeah. So there's actually studies done about this is, with the advent of radio, songs tend to be louder and stay loud. There was a really good kind of picture published of this, of the average volume of songs for different genres a while ago, and classical is the only one that takes up the full range. And its high point is in the middle of the range as opposed to on the far end of the range. So very rarely does classical get extremely loud, but it also gets pretty quiet. And this one is probably on the quieter side of classical, and it being very varying in volume. Say that 5 times fast.
Very varying.
Classical is extremely difficult to listen to in a car, just because if it gets quiet,
keep changing the volume.
Yeah, you turn it way up to hear the quiet, and then it comes up a little bit, and you're deaf, so you turn it down, and it's more suited to, or auditorium listening. So it's not really made to drown things out. It's for you're sitting alone in the quiet, or you're sitting in a theater listening to the music.
Yeah, though I definitely think that with music streaming, music started to become a little quieter, at least in some subgenres.
Yeah.
Since you're expected to be listening to that on your headphones.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is just even if you were to listen to Green Day on your headphones and then switch over to this, chances are you'd have to turn it up quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, Green Day isn't exactly known for its subtlety.
Fair enough. One of my favorite parts of the song is the French horn that's featured throughout. It is my favorite solo instrument. It just sounds so regal and it has a very different timbre than any other brass instrument. It's super unique, terrible to play. No one likes playing French horn, but it sounds great.
It sucks to play.
I mean, you got to shove your fist up in it, and
But if you can play it, if you're good at French horn, you're one of the few.
Yeah, you have to have serious ab muscles because you're not supposed to rest it on your leg. You're supposed to hold it up. Then there was around 419 where the well-known lick kicks off, with the blasting brass backed up by the strings.
Which obviously that's the part that the Imperial March is based off of.
Yeah. And I really love how you can hear just how loud the brass is playing, but it's all balanced because of how far away in the back they are. Because the way orchestral seating is arranged is the loudest instruments are at the back, or at least traditionally brass is nearer to the back, and then woodwinds are nearer to the front along with the strings, just because it's much harder to get loud on woodwinds and strings than it is on brass.
Which makes sense, because I mean, if you add I'm trying to imagine a concert where all the brass is just front loaded.
Yeah,
it's just completely blocking.
And I especially love when they play so loud the instrument rattles and you get that brassy sound. You know what I'm talking about?
Brassy sound.
You most likely know an association with trombone, that kind of womp noise
the womp
that it produces. It's so loud that it kind of shakes the instrument, and I'd have to find a clip of it to really demonstrate it, but I love that sound, and you can only achieve that if you are absolutely playing as loud as you physically can.
I mean, to be fair, this brass is basically approaching that. It's blasted,
but it's got a lovely brass sound into it. And having that front and center on the stage would not be a good idea.
And we shouldn't exclude the fact that there's some good string work
on
this song. Sure. Really ups the tension and the ominousness of it. Because there's definitely a bit of a darkness to the song as well, given it's about war.
Yeah,
this is quite the opening to an album.
Yeah, a very strong opening, and it jumps straight into track number 2. If you're ready, Coop.
Yeah.
Venus. Hold on. I didn't copy and paste it. Venus, the bringer of peace.
The bringer of peace. Yes, or Aphrodite, as she's known in Greece.
And this song is certainly peaceful.
This is the calm after the storm.
Yeah.
It's I mean, as the name implies, it's completely different.
Each piece of this is extremely different from every other one. Different themes, different instrument features, different volumes. This one is super quiet all the way through.
You really got to lean in. It's got this fluttery harp and a lot of really mellow rolling woodwinds.
Mm-hmm. And although the solo line is still the French horn,
still French horn, because still got the brass in there.
It sounds different, If you blast it, you get that brassy sound. If you play quietly, it's almost like a woodwind. So,
I mean, I got to respect Holst's ability to basically use the. It's not really none of these songs drop out subsection of the instruments to lean into it. He uses brass, strings, and woodwinds for all the songs. He's just able to shape them to better suit the mood of the song. Mm-hmm. So brass is still featured quite heavily in the song, just a little more low key.
Although he definitely leans much more heavily into the strings on this one.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is the strings showing.
Yeah, and especially with that around 2-minute mark, it really does the swelling and fading that the strings are probably best at. Kind of gave me the feeling like a ship on a calm sea.
Yeah, it has that one string that soon the other string come in to support it. Mm-hmm. The swelling together, and that part specifically kind of really reminded me of Leia's theme from Star Wars. I just keep getting all these Star Wars references in my head.
I can't say I remember Leia's theme off the top of my head.
Yeah, as soon as you hear it, you'd recognize it.
Yeah.
But yeah, John Williams was obviously very inspired by this. And I'd say this reflects peacefulness very well.
Mm-hmm. And this one, speaking of peace, it really forces you to calm down with the slow. You can't think faster than the music, just because it's quiet, but it's forceful with its peacefulness.
It's not wispy.
It's got a really solid backing of low notes that are just a little bit quieter, but they help it to not feel hollow. They provide a bit of power to hold up the calm.
Ooh. I wonder if that I'm sure there's some sort of philosophical meaning to that.
Yeah.
In terms of peace, but I think it just sounds neat.
Yeah, I just think it's neat. The other thing with classical is you kind of just have to pull stuff out of your ass. Like you gotta. It's very artsy, you know. You can't say, I think the 1-2 clapping here kind of got on my nerves. It all flows together so well. It's hard to pick out individual little things to either say, I really like this part because it plays so well with all the rest, but like there's nothing you can say, I didn't like that.
I mean, it's a lot of moving parts. This is a full orchestra with dozens of people playing dozens or several instruments.
More than a couple of dozen.
How big was this particular orchestra? Do you know?
Oh, let me look it up.
I mean, it's the Los Angeles Philharmonic, so I'm guessing it's not small. But yeah, so it really is. And I've always liked instrumentals in terms of taking away your own meaning from it. Obviously, Holst is a lot more on the nose than most classical music.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a planet, then this is what the song's going to be about. But even then, you can really feel the energy even if you didn't read the titles. They don't have any vocals here to tell you how to feel, except for on one song. But those aren't exactly spelling it out for you.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's not giving me an exact number.
It probably varies wildly depending on what songs they're playing.
Usually 106 musicians. Yeah, they're usually pretty large because you got to think each section is traditionally, depending on the section, at smallest like 5 members. Right. You've got tuba, you've got baritone, you've got trombone, you've got French horn, you've got the percussion section, which is going to be at least 10 people.
Yeah. Got full percussion, full strings.
The string sections are even larger. The woodwind sections are even larger. So yeah, it's around 100.
100. Yeah, I believe it.
But I like at the end how the energy comes up just a little bit, because in the middle of the song it is like that song's put me to sleep more than one time. It's very very calming, and
relaxing.
He has to bring it up just a little bit, because while the songs don't really bridge at all, jumping from energy level that much would just be a bit too much, Which, I mean, but a lot of the songs are long, so it helps the song can build its own mood without having to rely on previous songs to kind of establish that. Exactly, and that's kind of the way classical music is. Sure, the suite might share themes between songs, but sometimes it's just the theme that ties everything together, which is the case here.
Yeah, I really like the chimes or some sort of.
It was bells. Glockenspiel. You were
Glockenspiel.
Right.
I didn't want to say without.
It's always
Glockenspiel.
Feel
like every time I hear something chime, I'm like, oh, it's a Glockenspiel.
Nope, it was. You were right. It was a Glockenspiel.
Yeah, I really like how it carries. It kind of drifts you away at the ending there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
into the next track, if you're ready, Sam.
Of course, the shortest track on the.
Yes, suite. Track number 3, Mercury, the Winged Messenger. Which it is the shortest track at a brisk 4 minutes, just about.
Which is saying something for being the shortest track.
Yeah, and it's Hermes in Greek.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yes. Holst really brings speed into the equation on this one. Everything to this point has kind of been
I am speed,
powerful, but now it's like super light and flitty and really fast.
This one is it's like this one's wispy.
Yeah,
this one jumps all over the place like a deer through the woods.
It does really make you think of the Disney representation of Hermes.
I thought, what, with the glasses and Hercules?
Yeah,
are just flying all over the place.
Yeah, he's very fast.
It just kind of reminded like the beginning of a fantasy adventure movie.
Mm-hmm.
And this one definitely feels a lot less, how should I say, grounded than the other ones. Like this one doesn't particularly build up to anything in terms of like a payoff. It's very much kind of constantly jumping around without really landing anywhere definitively.
Yeah, I will say I really appreciate how the melodic line starts at around 50 seconds and then jumps around the orchestra from instrument to instrument before being picked up by entire sections and swelling back down to single instruments again. That's a really nice kind of progression, but it's very kind of one-dimensional in that way.
Yeah, I definitely don't think this has the I guess catchiness might be the term. I know that's not the point of classical music, but this one doesn't really have a like anything to anchor it down necessarily.
Well, that's part of the style. It's the winged messenger. It's supposed to be very light
I know
and ungrounded.
It definitely plays into the theme, but in terms of the musical motifs or whatever, certainly makes it feel a little bit floaty.
Well, that's the point, Cooper.
That's
supposed to be light and bouncy throughout.
Light and bouncy throughout. It definitely bounces.
Yeah. Jumping.
Sometimes I can visually see it like jumping around in my mind.
Yeah, it's certainly one of the more in your face tracks. Speaking of in your face, jump into track number 4, Jupiter, the bringer of joy. Actually, why don't you pronounce that one, Cooper?
Huh? No, you got it, Sam. I believe in you.
Jupiter, the bringer of joy.
Jupiter, the bringer of jollity. Jollity.
Yeah, that.
Zeus.
Yeah.
Jupiter.
The king of the gods.
The king of the gods.
And
this one acts like it.
Straight into the power.
Yeah, you've been kind of lulled to like a false sense of security with the last 2 songs. And this one comes out the gate with this brass blaring at you with these strings kind of like whirlwinding underneath. It's got a catchy as hell like leaf motif that kind of pops in throughout the entire song with a bum 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 bum.
And it really has power behind it too, with the entire brass section going at it. And it kind of takes on a bit of a march quality, around 1 minute before making way for the main theme, which is belted out by the brass.
Just
blasted out of there before jumping around the rest of the orchestra.
I really like the main theme of this song. It's tasty. It's just so, jollity, I'm pretty sure means like jolliness, right?
Yes.
Kind of like general celebration. Yeah, the act of celebration, the quality of being cheerful. And this the main I guess chorus, you might call it, the main theme at about 1:45. It's almost got this like waltz quality at like a party that's like speeding up and going out of control, like everyone's just having a good time.
Yeah, and it feels really heavy while at the same time changing its feeling depending on which section plays it. Like the trumpets speed it up and make it feel a little bit more dexterous, and lighter in the string. So it really kind of morphs around while still retaining all that power behind it.
Oh yeah, and it also has this really nice moment at the 3-minute mark where like these strings come in and start swelling, and it it kind of reminds me of the main theme for Shrek. Not gonna lie.
Smash Mouth.
No. The actual like orchestra theme that like plays at the very beginning of the movie. You know, when he's reading the fairy tale story.
Oh yeah, kind of.
Well, like that's ever gonna happen.
That was probably inspired by this, if I had to guess.
I mean,
it's pretty similar.
I don't think this was inspired by Shrek.
Well, no, it was not. This came out in 1916.
But Shrek is eternal. But yeah, it's a very beautiful and majestic segment.
Yeah, it really helped by the fact that there are multiple sections all playing together, giving it depth without much in the way of backing. Just kind of everything is together at once, and nothing is kind of in the background. Everyone's all at the forefront.
Yes, they're all. It's like a big street parade, you know. They're marching through and having a grand old time.
And then it kind of builds to the end at 4:50, before it drops off and you realize the song is not over.
Yeah, this song definitely a long song. I mean, they're all long songs.
Yeah.
But it's it kind of repeats itself near the end. But it's such a good
it has to
repeat that I enjoy it.
Got to bring back that main theme again. And that tambourine kind of going in the background gives it a very different feeling than if it was not there. I don't know how to describe it. Did you notice the tambourine in the background?
Not particularly. Yeah, I don't think I don't remember hearing a tambourine.
It's kind of just rattling in the background, and it gives it more of I want to say like a Polish march kind of feel to it.
Polish march.
Yeah. Just kind of Eastern European feeling. And right after the final theme, they've kind of got these swirling flutes and strings going on that sound like the swirls and the little wisps on the surface of Jupiter, or the face of Jupiter, I should say.
The face of Jupiter.
And it sounds exactly like
because it is a
swirling
gaseous giant.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all made of gas. It's gas all the way down.
Gas.
Except
it doesn't have like a nickel core or something.
I can't speak for what the core is, but they think that liquid metal helium exists.
Oh my!
Far enough down due to the immense pressures.
That'd make your voice sound funny. I should drink some of that.
I'm pretty sure that would kill you.
I should probably vaporize you.
No, Cooper. It's because helium is a gas at 70 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess it'd be super cold.
So to get it to...
But the pressure would crush you like a tin can.
Yeah, if you were to take a sip of that, you'd probably just explode.
Nice red mist.
Yeah. No, there probably wouldn't be any red mist because it'd just be a crater.
Just be a crater.
Yeah. It's quite jolly.
A jollity. But yeah, so it's probably the second famous song out of all of them after Mars.
Definitely. Mars followed by Jupiter, the most well-known songs of this album.
Yeah.
Track 5, if you're ready.
Yeah, track number 5.
Saturn, the Bringer of Old Age.
Saturn, the Bringer of Old Age. Good old Kronos here.
Mm-hmm.
This is, again, I mean, you have War after Peace, and now you got Old Age holding Gelidity, so it's something completely different again.
Although Saturn technically isn't named after the Greek gods, it's named after the Titans.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because Kronos is
father of Zeus.
Yes. Yeah, but I mean, if Zeus is the son of a Titan, doesn't that make the gods technically Titans? I don't know.
I don't pretend to understand Greek mythology.
I don't think anyone does.
I bet the people who read the Percy Jackson series claim to.
Well, actually, no. But this one, as the name says, the Bringer of Old Age. This is a very, or at least the start of it's a very slow and brooding song.
Mm-hmm.
Like right before sunrise. You know, it's like darkness. Yeah. Like you had these softy repeating woodwinds as like the strings just stretch behind them.
It's also the longest song on the album, so you can feel yourself age as you listen to it.
You do become 10 minutes older by the end of the song.
Yeah.
And then this song, I think, goes some pretty interesting places. It's got a almost like a story-like progression,
mm-hmm.
right? Where it starts on this slow broodingness, like I said, like an old man trying to get up in the morning, waking up. And then the strings slowly start to rise to the front near about 3 minutes of the song as the brass comes through. And it becomes this kind of trotting, almost forlorn, like a piece where it's like a march, but like super, almost like a dirge, like dirge-esque qualities as it goes through. And then by the end of the song, around the 8-minute mark, it has a very peaceful quality.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a transcended, and like these strings kind of trickling like water with these like bell chimes going beneath them. Like an old person, like accepting their old age, and just like enjoying it. At least that's the way I see it.
It's much better put than what I wrote. I kind of focused on the plodding bass in the background, kind of giving the impression of hands on a clock ticking by as you sit and watch time.
I definitely got that from the bells. I was thinking of like church bell, ringing the time of the day, which would be like especially 1913. I'm sure that was a lot more common.
Yeah. But the bass starts kind of slow, and then it slows down even further. So I kind of took that as the clock in the background. So it started at a somewhat normal pace and then really slowed down before speeding back up to the, as you were saying, the kind of march or dirge, if you will. And it reminded me of the inevitable march of time. No matter how much the little flutes and strings play, you can't hold it off with the power of the brass in the middle of the song.
The power of the brass.
And then the swelling and fading at the end reminds you, time is always there, and it kind of fades out while it's still all going, giving me the impression that you just got too far away to hear the rest of the song. Like it's going to go on forever, but you just can't hear it because you're too far away.
Yeah, it's very intricate song, I think. It's very well built.
Very well built, and also a little difficult to put into words what's going on in it. It's so dense. There's so much going on.
Well, this one more than any of the others, I think, is a very it's the emotional response to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's it gives you so much time. It's a 10-minute song that you really think during it.
Mm-hmm.
Gets in your brain. You start to really get serious. Plus, unlike Mercury, which I think just kind of ended, this one has a really good payoff in terms of like just a really beautiful ending with these strings and woodwinds kind of building, like almost like cresting over like a sun rising or maybe setting. Ooh. With the bells going in the background, it's quite lovely. Almost brought a tear to my eye.
You don't have to lie, Cooper. We know you're crying.
No.
Stop it. No.
Stop it. I don't cry.
Jump into track number 6 then if you're ready, Coop.
Oh, yes. Uranus, the Magician. Which is...
And I want to hear what you had to say about this one, because I was reading a little bit, and I definitely, after I read a little bit about this song, I was like, oh yeah, I definitely picked up on that.
I got big Sorcerer's Apprentice energy from this one.
And did you were you looking at the wiki as well?
No, this is just what it reminded me of.
It's heavily based off the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Okay, because I straight up just got that.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
Because it's got the the frenetic strings and everything, but like very like lightning bolts, right? These like big moments of energy coming off. This song gets loud at some points, like really loud. It's really impressive how he managed to base the entire song off a movie that wouldn't be released until 2010 with Hollywood heartthrob Nicolas Cage. Yeah, that's the version everyone remembers.
No, it's the song that the Sorcerer's Apprentice in Fantasia was put to.
Yes, which is also a great song. I used to have nightmares about those brooms. Yeah, they're creepy.
Not really.
Drops them with an axe, but they keep coming back.
They were really friendly.
They almost drowned him.
That wasn't their fault. That was Mickey's fault.
It's like the inevitability of it's like AI taking over,
Yeah.
Now it's T2 before we knew about robots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this one has some bounciness that really isn't seen elsewhere. I mean, Mercury had bounciness, but not to this extent. Like, this is kind of like heavy bounciness as opposed to like kind of flitty on your feet.
I mean, this one I kind of blame on the fact that the percussion's like featured very heavily, more so than any other song on this album.
Yeah.
Which kind of this, I guess in terms of grounded bounciness, this percussion really lends to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's also very frantic at the beginning, I would say.
Very frantic.
And then the whole main theme, it's hard to pin down. It's like slightly unnerving power lines,
Very, very ominous.
Yeah, it doesn't go where you expect it, while it carries nearly as much energy as Jupiter, but it's just kind of all over the place as opposed to kind of being... Jupiter kind of felt like a forward march, and this is just kind of like chaos going on all around you.
it's got like this. It's like it's powerful. It's mysterious. You know, like you're not quite catching everything behind the curtain.
Yeah, you think it's gonna go one way, but it surprises you and goes a completely different direction.
And he does this by having these like energy jumps and like these random drums will like beat in every now and then. Keeps you on your toes. And it feels like the song should end at like the 4-minute mark, but then it just like it like really goes slow and mysterious.
Yeah. There's the march section that starts around 3:30 and continues on that kind of unnerving power that I was talking about before we're ending in one of the most ridiculous organ lines of all time with brass blasting behind it. Did you hear that, Cooper? It was organ turned up to 11. Holy crap, was it loud. And it just kind of went up the keys and went before, and it ends. It almost hurts a little bit.
Yeah, no, it gets loud on
It's piercing. It's not loud, but it's piercing.
I had to turn down my volume because it's like inside my head.
Yeah, that's the scale I was talking about of the bell curve. That's the very far edge of the bell curve on the right, where it's the loudest that music gets.
Oh yeah, it definitely gets loud on this one.
Yeah. And it kind of takes me out of it with that organ. It's just a bit too ridiculous. Like, okay, I was following it up till now, and then that comes in, and you're like, oh, okay, that was a little... It kind of snapped me out of it, so to say.
It's supposed to be a bit of a ridiculous song
Yeah.
thing. It's like, it's a magician, a wizard.
Mm-hmm.
He's like outside our realm of understanding.
Kind of disappearing into a puff of mist before the music just kind of stops.
Yes, and this was before magic was outlawed in the World Wars, so
Mm-hmm.
it was a different time.
Yeah. And the fade off of power at the end is really great. The end, I picked up on this kind of at this point. The end of each song kind of feels like you're flying through space, approaching the planet, and then flying away from it. So it kind of fades away as you leave.
And then like you're entering the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that.
I don't know if that's what he's going for, but it's certainly what it feels like to me with the kind of fade out at the end. He's not alive, so he can't come on here and tell me I'm wrong. So I'm going to say it is.
And according to I was reading a little bit on Wikipedia. Apparently, this is one of the, or at least the next song. It's one of the first examples of the fade out, or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, we can jump to that if you're ready.
We can blame Holst for introducing the fade out ending to music.
To be fair, he had a reason to do it here. Most songs do not have a reason to.
No, this one suits.
Yeah,
which is track number 7, Neptune, the Mystic. Good old Poseidon coming in, and if the magician was mysterious power, this one's mysterious mystery.
Yeah, that's probably the best description for it. I mean, the title is Mystic.
Yes.
It's certainly the most otherworldly of all the tracks.
Yes, this one doesn't like really climax in anything particular. It's pretty much very soft throughout.
It's just kind of there in the background as you listen to it.
Very ominous.
Yeah, extremely ominous. And this is the first use of choir in the entire, I guess I'll call it album. I think it's a suite.
Yes.
But they don't say anything. They just kind of sing.
Yeah, it's like chanting almost.
And not even, because you never hear a hit.
No.
There's never a clear start. They start very soft, and before you realize they're there, they're already climbing up to get louder, but not loud, just into hearing range. And then they slowly fade back away into nothingness while the next group comes up and comes in.
It's an extremely subtle use of choir.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely the most subtle I've ever seen in a classical. Typically, if you got a choir, you're like built in Latin or something, right? Yeah. This one is just like very, very low key.
Well, Cooper, it's not classical music because technically it was written after the ending of the classical era.
Choirs weren't founded until 1987 by James S. Choir.
When he decided he wanted to sing twice.
So he did.
But it's very haunting.
Haunting's probably a good word for it. I always took it the way I think you'll like this interpretation, Sam. The way I took it is like at this point in time, 16, Neptune was believed to be the last planet, and I guess still is. I guess Holtz just was really ahead of the curve.
Well, there's a difference between planets and dwarf planets, but we won't get into that.
Yeah. maybe Holst was just like, because he was still alive whenever Pluto was found, but Pluto's not a planet anymore. So this Neptune is the last
Pluto
planet
should
in
have
actual
never been a
system.
planet, but that's
It's
just
true. It doesn't meet the qualifications.
If Ceres isn't a planet, Pluto can't be a planet. I'm sorry.
But I always took it as like this ending is kind of like you've passed by all the planets, right? And now you're just kind of going out into the abyss, going out into space.
Mm-hmm.
The slow fade out's just like you leaving the solar system behind.
That's exactly what he intended.
Grand nothingness. Ooh.
Yeah. Just
Holtz, you bad man.
This is the only acceptable use of the fade out. Well, that's a bit too black and white.
Entering the void.
Yeah, this is a very good use of the fade out, I'll say.
Yes.
Fading away into nothingness. And again, it's kind of like that. It doesn't sound like it's getting quieter. It just sounds like you're moving away. So you're moving away, and just now it sucks, buddy. You're now flying through interstellar space.
Why'd you go so fast? That's where all the planets are.
Yeah, you can't listen to the music now. You're too far away.
Yes. Yeah, but it is a little odd. You kind of, or at least I felt that going to the song, there'd be like one last big moment before it kind of faded out or the album ended. But no, it just, this entire song is low key.
Yeah, I feel like it's a bit too light throughout. It needs
a little.
There's not really any meat on the bones. It needs just a little something. But it doesn't have to be much. I mean, the choir is a nice touch. Again, every song features something different, and the choir is the feature of this one. But they're not a feature. They're a very quiet component.
Very small part. If you remove the choir from this song, it'd definitely be lesser, but not like it wouldn't ruin the song.
Yeah, not like if you were to remove the melody line from Jupiter or Mars kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
it's not it's a cornerstone.
Yeah. It's like a gravel parking lot. Removing a couple of the stones isn't really going to change much.
I guess that's a metaphor that you could use.
A gravel parking lot if it had like 5 pieces of gravel in it.
I think that's just dirt at that point.
Yeah. Well, it's we've talked for a while, but it's hard to say much more than that. Putting feelings into word is hard.
Yes, it's hard to describe instruments with my mouth.
Yeah. I wish my mouth could make the noises instruments make. That's not this album, Cooper.
Oh, well, whatever. Same difference.
That's not even classical music. I think that's jazz. You like jazz?
I like jazz. No, but yeah, I guess we can get into our assessments of the album.
Yeah.
Sam?
You want me to do favorite and least favorite first?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So, I mean, I'm gonna be basic. Favorite is definitely Mars and Jupiter. Those are the ones I listen to all the time. Although I will say I also really like Uranus. That one I'll come back to quite often as well. And Mercury. Least favorite, I think I'm gonna have to go with Neptune. It's I would not pick any other song to end the album, but just in terms of listenability, it's pretty weak. Definitely, sitting down and listening to all the songs together, it all fits together like a jigsaw, and if you take one out, it kind of all crumbles, even though it's almost an hour album. It's classical music, so the songs are long. Venus is kind of similar bracket. I feel like it brings more to the table, and it has that switching of the melody from section to section and swelling that I really appreciate. Well, not much changes in Neptune throughout. So,
all right. And then my favorites are pretty similar to yours. Mars and Jupiter. I'll keep it basic. I mean, they're just such good tunes, right?
They're the most popular ones for a reason.
But I also like to tack on Saturn, Bringer of Old Age. Such a delight every time I listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I find something a little bit new. It takes its time, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but I think it's well earned since it goes some interesting places and gets me some emotions going. Which a piece of music can do that. That's a plus.
Mm-hmm.
My least favorite's probably Probably Mercury.
Really?
Yeah, I'm honestly not a fan of it. It's I get that it's supposed to be wispy and jumping around, but nothing like anchors it and just kind of is there for me.
Hmm.
Not that it's bad. It's good. It's good performance.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't particularly. I kind of like glaze over when it plays. It's
Yeah,
it's the one thing that can't keep me hooked out of all these songs.
mm-hmm.
And I always find it kind of weird. That's like basically the odd man out in this album in terms of each song has like its pair, right? War Peace, Jollity, Old Age, Magician, Mystic. And then it's just like, and the Winged Messenger, truly the Aquaman of this Justice League, you know?
Well, I mean, there's a reason it's the shortest. It definitely, if it were any longer, it would stick around a bit too long.
Yeah, but for me, if you had to remove one song from this album, I would 100% choose this one. I don't think you'd lose too much.
I think I'd have to agree with you that if you were to pull one piece out of this Jenga tower of an album, it would be Mercury. Probably would not collapse the tower.
Yeah, I mean, Neptune is slow in its own way, but it kind of rides the album out at the very end. Mercury for me. I mean, even if you went straight from Bringer of Peace to Jollity, it had the same kind of peaceful to exciting effect.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, not that it's a bad music. Obviously, it's wonderfully performed. I just don't necessarily care for it.
Yeah. All right. Well, what rating? Oh well, I guess I'll do the rating system text real quick. So here at Audio Shop, we know so much about cars.
So much.
So much that I'm not gonna have to take mine in because it's making a squeaking noise because I can just diagnose it. But we start with 5 out of 5, which is showroom, cream of the crop, creme de la Edgar, the top of the line.
And Aristocats.
Yeah.
Reference.
Who doesn't love Aristocats? Is a bad movie. Anyway, who doesn't love this? And then you have 1 out of 5, scrapyard, bottom of the barrel, Tesla Motors taking away autopilot after the guy already bought the car kind of thing. It just goes straight to the trash. Nobody wants it. It's terrible and probably removed a couple of years. Yeah, removed a couple of years off of somebody's life for listening to it. What would you say, Cooper, your rating for this album is?
I'm going to give this a bit of a unique rating. Because for me, it's hard to judge this album in a bubble. Because one, it's like very ingrained in our society, right? Maybe not in the way like pop music is, but kind of like in the undercurrent, where you're not necessarily there. You've heard it. You just may not be able to pick it out. And it's wonderful music, wonderful music. So I'm gonna give it a never before seen score of classic, where it's kind of not necessarily. I guess if you had to give equivalent, it'd be like showroom. But it's like something that you should listen to. Where I think showroom's like it's amazing music that you have to listen to. This one's got like cultural oomph that also makes it worthy. So that's kind of my reasoning for giving it rating. It feels odd for me to kind of say, oh well, slightly better than Kanye, but not quite up to Supertramp standards.
Yeah,
it's kind of in its own realm.
Yeah, that's the rating system isn't supposed to make sense.
So that's just my gut feeling for it.
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna stick to the trail and not go off into the woods since Gandalf said stick to the path. I'm gonna give it a low showroom, whereas I personally I think this would be right up there with my top ratings, but I'm going to give it a low showroom because I know people don't like classical music. They hear classical music and they think snooze fest. So
to be fair, this album does get.
I've fallen asleep on Venus a couple of times before, and I nearly did while listening to it today, as I'm a little bit sleepy. But I definitely think you should listen to it. I think you should listen to the whole thing, but if you don't feel like it, you don't have to. I know classical music is definitely not for everyone. I feel strongly drawn towards it since I have such a long background in band and analyzing classical music and performance was a big part of all of that. So if you're going to listen to anything, you have to listen to Mars and Jupiter at least, the very least. But I think
I'm going to disagree and say you should listen to this. You have to, in fact.
I mean, I definitely think you should, but I think there's a lot more pushback from people listening to a full classical album as opposed to the full. Like, I feel like there's some people out there that would more likely sit down and listen to all of Imagine Dragons Origins than listen to this. And I don't know if that's because of yeah, I know. I don't know if that's because of the current climate or whatever it is, but I feel like, people don't like classical, which is sad. Because I think
this would be the album to at least make you appreciate it more.
Yeah,
it's a lot more accessible than a lot of classical albums.
Yeah, and technically it's not classical, so
postmodern, Baroque, New Age, whatever. Yeah, it's okay. Basically,
you could say, this is, it's about the planets, and you can twist it to get people to listen to it because it's technically not classical. So you don't have to say classical, but it's classical music. But I just think it, I definitely think people should listen to it, but I'm not blind to the realization that people probably won't listen to it because there's such a strong pull against listening to classical music for some reason.
Yeah, you should give it a listen.
Yeah, it's absolutely worth a listen.
Plus, it's only like 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
So it's not like super long. It's an average album length.
And because there's not really anything going on in terms of vocals, because I know when you listen to music, vocals are something that really pop out to you and force you to listen to the song. I use this a ton when I was studying or doing homework because it's very good backing music. It kind of you can associate different things that you're reading with the different parts of the song. It's good. It's good kind of nice backing music. Just be careful with Venus. It'll put you to sleep.
Yes, but in like a good way.
Yeah. It'll be a rest, and then when Jupiter rolls around, you'll wake back up.
But yeah, so that's our review of the planets.
Mm-hmm. Cooper creating a new rating here. I'm not adding that to the rating system.
No. Don't. This is I just felt I need to go outside the realms of what we established for this particular one.
I understand where you're coming from with that.
It's out of this world.
And with that, our viewer count dropped to 0. But we can launch into the spare tire of the week if you're ready.
Yes,
Cooper.
Our little Lucy's that we've just been listening throughout the week.
Mm-hmm.
My recommendation for this week would be a monster movie by Can. Can is I think it was released in the 60s or the 70s. By Can, which is a German, I guess, progressive kind of alternative rock group. So obviously it's weird, because the Germans. 69. And it's a interesting album. It's 4 songs long. But one of the songs is 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. The others are just regular length.
That's pretty long.
Yeah, You Do Right is a quite long song, but it's quite the journey. It's got psychedelic elements to it. Then of course that krautrock that the Germans loved so much back in the 70s and 60s. So I'd recommend at least giving it a little look. It's definitely not for everyone. It's very strung out at some places, and it's got a very rough around the edges feel to it. Mm-hmm. Almost like proto garage rock. But if you're into that kind of thing, I'd recommend giving it a listen. At least listen to Mary Mary So Can. That's the best song of the album.
See how many more terms you can throw in there.
New age, new metal, third wave, ska. No. And then if you're really dedicated, you can listen to the 20-minute song, though it definitely goes longer than any song ever needs to go forever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I've been listening to, I talked about Fantastic Planet a bit last week, but I've been listening to the album that came off of a little. I haven't finished it. I got most of the way through, but I needed something I could sing along to on the drive home, so I switched off of it. But it's called Planet Pimp, and it's by Soil and Pimp Sessions, which is a Japanese club jazz sextet. Sorry, not sextet.
Sextet.
That's a a navigational tool. Formed in Tokyo, Japan in 2001. They've coined the term death jazz to describe their music, although it's more of a kind of bossa nova, punk jazz kind of thing. And it is very good. Yeah, the first song I'll definitely say is probably more death jazz than anything else, the intro. But it's, everything is, a couple of them have stuck in my mind quite a bit, and I'm looking forward to finishing that album. And actually, track number 11, I'm just seeing this now, Cooper, is called the Mingus Fan Club. So,
a little bit of Charles Mingus influence.
We'll call out to Charles Mingus there. So,
yes,
and then 12 is Mars. So I'll have to listen. Maybe this is a direct tie-in with today's album. I don't know. I'll have to finish listening to it and I'll let you know. But
now that'd be surprising.
It's pretty long at 60 minutes. So,
yeah, but I listened to it. Sam played it for me a little bit, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I plan to listen.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, it's I don't listen to enough jazz these days, and most of the jazz I listen to is much more, I don't want to say classical, but it's classical jazz, this classical jazz band with a little bit of soloist and then back. This just kind of goes all over the place. So new age jazz, if you will.
New age jazz.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so thank you all for joining.
Yeah,
it was nice to change of pace in terms of covering.
Yeah, and we might switch it up a little bit for next week. Maybe have a guest, but we're waiting to hear back. So
yeah, so stay tuned there.
Yeah,
you can follow us.
Twitter.
Yeah, you can follow us at AudioShop14 on Twitter to keep updates. See what we're going to review next.
And if you've listened this far and you're just joining, you say, "Hey, you know what? That one guy's voice is pretty nice. The other one's a bit grating, and maybe I'd get used to it eventually." But I'd like to listen to some more of this. If you head on over to YouTube, there's a little link down in the Twitch description where you just click the picture of Jeff Lynn's face, and it takes you straight to our YouTube archive, and every single episode is there. And I probably wouldn't recommend listening from the beginning because the first couple are a tiny bit rough, even if they are some of our more popular ones. But yeah, all of them are up there. And if you're on YouTube and you're like, you know what, these guys seem pretty nice, you can come over to our Twitch channel and give us a follow. We do this live every Sunday at 8. We were a couple minutes late today just because I was a little bit busy today.
Life.
Yeah, but we're pretty consistent with that schedule, and we'll tweet if something comes up. But nothing should be coming up for a while.
Yeah, so we hope you join us again next week.
Yeah. I'm clearing my throat. See you later, shoppies.
See you later, shoppies. Oh, it hurts.
All right. Goodbye.